Tell us a bit more about early voting in the US. I assume that there's a similar trend there as we've seen here in Australia, with an explosion really of people preferring to get in early in recent years.
Yeah, so I myself am a dual citizen. I've already voted in the state of Arizona. You've seen record number of early voters in those states that allow it. And at this point, it is most states. And you've also seen just in recent weeks, even the Republican Party, Donald Trump, who spent so much time campaigning against anything other than day of voting, himself urging his voters to get out and vote early and vote by mail. That was a real disadvantage to them in 2020 when they lost. It was also a big disadvantage to them in 2022. So there's a bit of an inconsistent message between the constant harping on election integrity and their desire to get their own people out to vote. Because obviously, and we figured this out in Australia, democracy is not just a right, it's a responsibility. And so you should make it easy for people to vote. That hasn't been the situation in the United States, when at least on one part of the electorate, there has been a long-standing strategy to make it difficult to vote. And obviously that comes with some challenges for your own side of politics, whichever side of politics you're on.
Gordon, what about the donations battle? I see Bill Gates has said that he's backing Kamala Harris with a donation of $50 million. Just how much do we know about the war chests of each campaign?
So at this point, again, we're just 2 weeks out from the election. The latest public declarations show that Kamala Harris raised over $1 billion since she took over the nomination, with a relatively, a rapid start in terms of the process. And by all accounts, at this point, she's got twice as much money on hand as the Trump campaign has, 10 times the number of staff, and 20 times the number of volunteers. And so while we're fascinated by these shiny objects, Bill Gates donates $50 million, Elon Musk offers $1 million a day in a raffle to people who register in Pennsylvania, I don't think those are the real numbers. I think those are distractions. Really what it is the small dollar numbers that propelled Donald Trump to the presidency in 2016, which failed him in 2020 and in 2022, and which seemed to be buoying the Kamala Harris campaign in 2024.
The report we just saw from Annalise Nielsen alluded to Barack Obama being on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris today, and also the focus we're seeing from both sides trying to win over the black male demographic. Just how crucial is that demographic going to be in this election?
Well, it's funny. I mean, at this point, most polls show that Kamala Harris is winning between 80 and 90% of the African-American male demographic. And so while there is a larger percentage than normal voting for Donald Trump, and he's trumpeting that on a regular basis, it's just a question of how big those numbers are and how much they swing. The far more important demographic is African-American women. In fact, the even more important demographic is American women, and that's, I think, going to be the far more important African-American women more broadly, and white women in particular, and I think that's going to be the determining factor, and that's where you've seen the biggest shift between 2020 and 2024.
Gordon Flake, really appreciate your analysis as always, and look forward to chatting with you again over the coming couple of weeks, and of course on US Election Day. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. 2 weeks.